What I plan to do in this video is gush about all the things I like about the Demon Prince. This is meant to be almost entirely positive, so if I don't mention something you find annoying, it doesn't mean I'm unaware of it. This is just not a real analysis, it's a rant. I may do more videos like this in the future. Anyway, on to the video. Bosses have always been a highlight in the Souls series, and most players will tell you that the best bosses are found in Dark Souls 3. Within the third installment, however, the absolute highlight of the game is the Ringed City DLC, where many a player's favorite bosses lie, and while Midir and Gale are excellent bosses, no boss has given me the sheer blood-pumping satisfaction as the Spirit Collar Snail, the Demon Prince, the first boss of the DLC. Throughout the Dreadkeep, the player is forced to drop off from increasingly greater heights, something that would make most players uneasy as they are being asked to go against one of the fundamentals the game has taught them. Falling is dangerous. The final instance of this is the drop into the boss arena and sees the player walk along a precarious ruin peering out over a mountain crater at the edge of the world, where the fight takes place. The demon in pain and the demon from below are essentially the last remnants of the demon race. Dark and decrepit as their flame of chaos has burnt out. They can only reignite their flame for a short period of time, and without it they are slow, weak, and the power of their flame only manifests as toxic ashen gas. This weaves in with the themes of impermanence in Dark Souls 3 and the Dreadkeep's depiction of the end of time. In Phase 2, the last embers of the Flame of Isolith coalesce into one of them and it becomes the Heir of Chaos, the Demon Prince, a last fiery tantrum before even the power of chaos is smothered. The design of these demons is reminiscent of the Batwing demons with their bulbous heads and triangular ears. They also wield toxins, a part of pyromancy that we haven't seen in any of the other demon bosses. The Demon in Pain and Demon from Below portion is an excellent example of a double boss fight. Fundamentally, the two bosses are identical, with the only real difference being that one starts in a fire phase and the other in a dark, burnt-out phase. For the first 15 or so seconds, the Demon from Below leaps forward and starts clawing at you while the Demon in Pain throws a few well-telegraphed ranged attacks. Before long, however, the Demon in Pain ignites, and now both of them will chase down and try to melee the player. After some time, the Demon from Below will explode and pewter out, leaving you with a reverse at the beginning of the fight. Then the Demon in Pain will follow suit, and you will have both demons in their weakened state. But then, the Demon from Below ignites again, and the process will repeat until the player has defeated one. This mechanic of igniting and burning out allows for a great flow of push and pull without creating an unfair situation. About half the time you will be dealing with one in each phase, during which it is best to target the burning one as its attacks require direct attention, but while still keeping an eye out for the Dim Demon's position and ranged attacks. The Dim Demon mostly has 3 attacks: a long-range toxic line across the ground that explodes after some time, giving you time to react when its position is the hardest to gauge, a mid-range toxic breath sweep which punishes players who don't pay attention to it and just wait for the long-range attack, a short-range spew which leaves a toxic gas area that can hurt the player very quickly if they aren't paying attention to the dim one if it has gotten in melee range, as well as a few simple melee attacks which serve a similar purpose. The Darken moveset is simple but effective for the fight. The Fiery Demon will claw and combo constantly and isn't too difficult to avoid on its own, but its aggression is constant and thus creates a balance of trying to keep track of the dim one while still avoiding the fiery one's attacks and trying to find opportunities to deal damage. When both are on fire, the player is pushed to the defensive. It is very hard to find openings against the two, but the general ease of avoiding one results in the act of avoiding two becoming difficult but not unreasonable, and the inability of the fire phase to catch up during its combos allows fragments of time to deal with only one, thus not grinding the entire fight to a halt. This is contrasted with when you have both of them in the dark phase. It is easy to keep track of both, and this acts as an opportunity for the player to catch their breath and deal damage if they struggle too much with doing so in the other phases. When you eventually defeat one, the remaining one ignites and you finish it off. A low point of the fight, but satisfying in its simplicity. The demons have a mechanic similar to Stance in Elden Ring, where you can open them up for a critical hit if you're aggressive enough. This is very rewarding as it deals a large amount of damage while granting invulnerability to the other demon, and, Due to the nature of their attacks, you won't find yourself taking force damage upon becoming vulnerable again. This is very satisfying when a demon is attempting to ignite, as the animation takes several seconds, and so it is easier for you to open it up to extend the damage opening even farther. Upon defeating both demons, the second one defeated begins to roil with flame and burst, glowing brighter than ever and extending its wings for a larger form. Like Ornstein and Smo in Dark Souls 1, this double boss fight transitions into a large solo boss with a different moveset depending on which one died first. While the differences are not as severe, the Demon Prince has a few different attacks depending on if you killed the demon in pain or the demon from below first. Most importantly, its most dangerous attack is entirely different. The Demon Prince has a lot of health, and this fight becomes an endurance test as, while not very likely to land consecutive hits, it simply lasts much longer and your odds will be heavily affected by your performance during Phase 1. This is also where the Dim Demon's toxic attacks become so much more deadly, as the game seldom awards the player blooming purple moss, and without a cure, toxic lasts essentially forever and deals a large amount of damage while nerfing stamina regen. This combined with the length of Phase 2 means that the player must either excel at being aggressive without taking damage, or die. While Phase 2 may seem to have too much health, its moveset grants you long openings on its more devastating attacks, and its combos have blind spots that let you take advantage of good positioning to get in your own hits. These things combine to create a boss that satisfies the player offensively and defensively, something that I think Elden Ring often neglects in its later boss fights. There are tons of flashy moves during this phase. Exploding fireballs, aerial lava sweeps, slams that leave a homing fire trail. He even has a grab attack, something I didn't know until I recorded footage for this video. There it is! I haven't seen it before because dodging this attack is just so intuitive. The flashiest of his moves are dependent on which demon you kill first. If you killed the demon in pain first, he will summon floating chaos spheres that launch barrages of smaller fireballs at you while he jumps back and starts summoning meteors. This attack is pretty hard to consistently avoid, but it is still awesome. If you killed the demon from below first, he will flap his wings and jump back while emitting a wave of smoke that knocks the player backward. Then he fires a laser, and you either have to try to get far enough away to be out of range, or push your luck trying to get close so that you can attack him safely from behind. But you still can't become complacent because afterward he explodes, while firing off one last beam at the player, one that is much harder to avoid. When the prince is dethroned and chaos smothered, you find yourself in the ruins of Dark Souls 1's Firelink Shrine. With the Prince's Soul, you can either get a delayed exploding fireball, something of unique utility among pyromancies, or a curved sword that does 100% fire damage and is a pyromancy catalyst. Over my years of playing Dark Souls 3, I have defeated the Demon Prince with spells, RTSR, the Aquamarine Dagger weapon art, an unupgraded Corvian Great Knife, a broken straight sword, and even my bare fists. Every time he has been a blast to take on and makes me excited to think of how I will fight him next. Thanks for watching the video. I'm going to be gone for a few weeks, so don't expect another video for at least a month. But if you do want to know when I upload again, I've heard there's a button for that. I upload videos primarily about Elden Ring, but may do some videos like this talking about Monster Hunter monsters, or just whatever I feel like talking about at the time. Here's a funny invasion that happened years ago.